One of film's greatest abilities is how it can manipulate the way we feel. Love and passion, adventure and exhilaration, heartbreak and horror. Fear and loathing.
Say something?
Never mind.
The messages presented by an artist or studio and their reasons for it can be far and varied, besides monetarily, of course. But certain issues can be so all-encompassing that they demand the attention of filmmakers. By this, I mean where conflict causes economical shifts toward wartime goods. Like household brand companies producing ammunition or uniforms, film studios begin to produce wartime ideals and propaganda. One of the most well-known and beloved of these propaganda films is the 1942 classic Casablanca. Starring Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine, the film sees him having established a nightclub in the African town of Casablanca after having fled from Nazi-occupied France during World War II. With Casablanca serving as a sort of refugee town for people wishing to flee the war to America, Rick finds himself in possession of 2 travel visas that would allow 2 people to do so. Things become complicated when he finds his former lover who abandoned him, Ilse Lund, has come to Casablanca with her husband in order to find passage to America. The 2 need to get to America because Victor poses a threat to the Nazi forces and needs to continue his work.
From every corner of Europe, hundreds, thousands would rise to take our places. Even Nazis can't kill that fast.
Laszlo, you have a reputation for eloquence, which I can now understand. But in one respect, you are mistaken. You said the enemies of the Reich could all be replaced. But there's one exception. No one could take your place in the event anything unfortunate should occur to you while you were trying to escape.
But now they rely on Rick's help, who is reluctant to get involved. Rick's character is meant to represent America's isolationist stance during early World War II. Rick stands as a powerful figure in the town of Casablanca. He holds influence and the ability to help in the form of the travel visas. But he chooses to not get involved as much as he can.
Man, are you enough of a businessman to appreciate an offer of 100,000 francs?
I appreciate it, but I don't accept it.
I'll raise it to 200,000.
My friend, you could make it 1,000,000 francs at 3. My answer would still be the same.
He wants to stay out of the conflict. Yet, despite his best efforts, the war keeps catching up to him. It intrudes in on his life, even something as fundamental as love.
With the whole world crumbling, we picked this time to fall in love.
Yeah, it's pretty bad timing.
In the end, he does decide to intervene and do the right thing.
Put that phone down. Get me the radio tower. Put it down.
It is the American sentiment that despite personal risk, we can't stand idly by. Another propaganda film that falls into a more distant side of the spectrum is 1930's All Quiet on the Western Front. Where Casablanca is a more personal drama meant to draw people into the war and remind them why to fight, All Quiet on the Western Front is a much grittier depiction of armed conflict, intended to dissuade people from the idea of war. Starring Louis Ayres, the story follows Paul, a young man in Germany in the midst of World War I, pushed along by his superiors and societal expectations. He enlists to be a soldier, shipped off to the trenches to fight the front lines against the French, the Western Front. Upon reaching the front lines, he doesn't find the glory and admiration of a war hero he was promised. All he finds is a lack of food, death all around him, and misery from his fellow soldiers, one of which is Stanislas Kaczynski. An older, more experienced soldier who befriends Paul and looks after his company. Being released at a time where such realistic violence in film was uncommon, and when many didn't have a proper understanding of what soldiers faced in the trenches, All Quiet takes a stance of anti-war propaganda by hitting the audience with both. Throughout the film, it depicts the terrible living conditions, bloody battles, constant shelling, and what the local population faced in gut-wrenching detail. Detail only assisted by the accounts and directions of numerous extras played by real World War veterans, some visuals taken directly from what they've witnessed. These are two very different films, with very different messages and utilizing very different methods. But they both serve a similar purpose to their creators, to serve as a piece of propaganda to spread an opinion on war to the audience.